to the minute with Morley Safer. Today, adoption, the endless battle with red tape.
From the day we first saw Janine and decided that she was to be our child, to the day we finally had her adopted, it took us over 3 years.
I'm Morley Safer. There are so many more couples who want to adopt healthy babies than there are healthy babies to go around. But there are as well couples who will take older children, problem children, handicapped children. Even as these would-be parents wait, uncounted thousands of adoptable children are languishing in foster homes or institutions at tremendous cost to the taxpayers, thanks to a bureaucratic system that seems to have forgotten these children need permanent homes. Our guests today all have first-hand experience with the adoption system. Together, we're going to try to see what's causing the problem and what can be done about it. We're going to start by showing you what can happen when one prospective couple really wants a child and the child really wants to be with them.
Are you ready? I am Mark. Get set. Go!
The story of 12-year-old Janine Dubuque may be typical of what can happen when a child who is not quite sound in body is wanted, nevertheless, by a family that can see past those flaws.
From the day we first saw Janine and decided that she was to be our child, to the day we finally had her adopted, it took us over 3 years. 3 years of frustration, 3 years of sometimes anger, of tears, of all kinds of things.
Janine is a very fortunate 12-year-old. Until Jane and Ray Dubuque came along, she could look forward to little more than growing up in a hospital. She was born with cerebral palsy and was placed in foster care at 9 months of age. To a child already deprived of the use of much of her brain, parents were another thing she'd just have to do without.
What is it?
Mommy.
Not mommy, but sound it.
Mother.
Mother. When she first came into our home, she knew one letter, the letter J. Now, 4 years later, she's reading, she knows her alphabet, but it's been a great deal of work. And I feel that if this had been done in her early formative years, she could have gone a great deal further than she is.
Janine's earliest years were spent on a ward of the New York Foundling Hospital, where she lived until she was 6. The hospital bills the state up to $25,000 a year for the care of each of the 60 handicapped children who live there. But when a child is adopted, the funding stops. The hospital must also decide who is qualified to be an adopting parent.
New York Foundling told our social worker that there was another family that was interested in Janine. In fact, they were going to adopt Janine. And of course, we argued about the fact that certainly we were the most qualified family. They, by their own admission, had said this. Our whole family was trained to take care of CP kids.
Both Jane Dubuque and her daughter, Tricia, had worked locally with handicapped children.
But then our social worker leveled with us and said, look, the child has been baptized Catholic. Your husband is a Methodist pastor. This is a Catholic agency. There is no way you're going to get this child.
The Dubuques feel that Ray, being a Methodist pastor, gave authorities a convenient reason to say no adoption.
We've since learned that it's not unusual for agencies to turn people away because they are of the wrong religion. If they in turn said, but we have some other children who are of your denomination or whatever, then we could believe that that's a sincere excuse. But it seems there are any number of excuses that are used, religion being only one, that they use to turn people away.
The Foundling Hospital decided to place Janine with a Catholic family. With their hopes of obtaining her fading, the Dubuques adopted a 5-week-old girl who'd been diagnosed as probably handicapped. She turned out to be a child gifted with a higher than average IQ.
But the thought of Janine continually plagued us because we knew, somehow in our heart, we knew that she was in the foster care system and not adopted. We kept thinking about her and praying about her and knew that someday she would show up. She did show up, and we were absolutely furious to think that here we had told them specifically to contact us if that adoption did not work out.
They were making life very difficult.
Janine's placement in the Catholic home had turned sour. The couple separated within months, and Janine was back in the institution.
And Moses saw what was going on.
I then started delivering ultimatums. I used some pretty tough language and threatened to sue them, actually. Then arrangements started to be made about placing her in our home.
Good Lord, we thank you for good food.
For Jane and Ray, the year-long battle ended in a victory.
I have to call my friend.
Janine moved into the Dubuque home. However, the road to adoption grew even rockier as Jane negotiated with the hospital for part of the subsidy necessary for Janine's special care. The long bureaucratic delays were not over.
This child should have been finalized 6 months after she came into our home, not 2 years later. There's no excuse for agency bungling, for losing people's papers, for delays, for all kinds of things.
Good for you. You're off to a great start. Now stretch for this one.
Stretch, grab.
That's it.
Okay, stretch,
That a
reach,
girl. That a
step.
girl. Good for you,
Come on, grab,
Janine.
stretch. You know, really, it's amazing. Reach. Despite everything Janine has been through, from 9 months of age to 6 years of age, lying on a floor with no real attachments, with no bonding, she's the most beautiful human being. Our one regret is that we didn't get her sooner. It's good your thing, kid.